Stop for a second and think about this.
Every day, you say simple sentences like it's hot, it's cold, it's raining.
And it feels normal, right?
But what if I told you, this is exactly why your English is not improving?
Not because you don't know English.
But because you're using it in the weakest way possible.
You're playing safe, using the same basic words, again and again.
And without realizing it, you're blocking your own fluency.
But today, that changes.
Because today, you're going to learn something most learners never understand.
How to turn simple daily topics, like weather,
into powerful, natural, fluent English.
not with difficult grammar,
Not with complicated sentences.
but with small changes that instantly make you sound like a real speaker.
And by the end of this,
You will never say it's hot the same way again.
you'll start conversations.
You'll keep them alive.
And for the first time.
Speaking English will feel natural.
So don't just listen.
Pay attention.
Because this might be the simplest lesson.
That completely changes the way you speak forever. Sara, let me ask you something honestly. When someone asks you about the weather, what do you usually say?
I just say, it's hot or it's cold.
Exactly. And that right there is the reason you feel stuck when speaking English.
Stuck? It's just a simple sentence.
It's simple, but it's also limiting. Think about it. If every day you use the same 2 or 3 words, how will your English ever grow?
I never thought about it like that.
That's the problem. Most learners don't. They stay inside a small circle of safe words. Words that are easy, comfortable, but weak.
So it's hot is a weak sentence.
It's not wrong, but it doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound expressive. And it doesn't sound like how real conversations actually happen.
Then how do fluent speakers say it?
They don't just say the temperature, they describe the experience. They make you feel the weather.
What do you mean by feel?
Listen carefully. Instead of saying it's hot, a fluent speaker might say, it's boiling today.
Boiling, that already sounds stronger.
Or they might say, it's scorching outside.
That sounds intense.
Exactly. Because real English is not about basic information. It's about impact. It's about making your listener imagine what you're experiencing.
So I should stop using simple words completely.
Not completely. But you must upgrade them. Think of it like this. Hot is level 1. Boiling, scorching, burning up, that's level 5.
I like that. It feels like leveling up in a game.
Exactly. And right now, most learners are stuck at level 1 without even realizing it.
Okay, what about cold?
Same problem. Cold is basic. But if you say it's freezing, now it sounds real.
Freezing feels stronger.
Or it's icy today. That creates a picture in the listener's mind.
I see what you mean. It's more descriptive.
More than descriptive. It's more human. Because when people talk, they don't just give information. They share feelings, reactions, experiences.
So when I say it's hot, I'm not really saying much.
Exactly. You're giving information, but you're not creating connection.
And fluent speakers create connection.
Always. That's why their English feels alive, and yours feels basic.
That makes so much sense now.
Let me show you something deeper. Imagine 2 people.
Okay.
Person 1 says, it's hot.
Simple.
Person 2 says, it's so hot, I feel like I'm melting.
That sounds real.
Which one sounds more fluent to you?
The second one. Obviously.
And that's the difference. Fluency is not about knowing more grammar. It's about saying things in a more natural, expressive way.
So I don't need to learn complicated sentences.
No. You just need to improve the way you use simple ones.
That feels easier than I expected.
It is easier. But most people ignore it because they think fluency comes from big words or difficult grammar.
But actually, it starts with small upgrades.
Exactly. Small changes, big difference.
So from today, no more it's hot.
No more it's cold either.
Only stronger, more natural expressions.
Yes, because the moment you change the way you describe simple things, your entire English starts to change.
That's powerful.
And this is just lesson 1.
Then I can't wait for what's next.
Sara, let me ask you something. When you say it's hot, do you feel anything when you say it?
Not really. It's just information.
Exactly. And that's the problem. You're speaking, but you're not expressing.
What's the difference?
Big difference. Speaking is just words. Expressing is emotion. And fluent English is built on emotion.
So I shouldn't just describe the weather.
No. You should describe how the weather affects you.
Can you show me?
Of course. Instead of saying it's hot, say it's so hot, I can't even focus.
That feels more real.
Or this heat is killing me.
That sounds natural, like real conversation.
Exactly. Because people don't talk like robots. They talk about their experience.
So I need to bring my feelings into my sentences.
Yes. Think about this. If you're sweating, tired, uncomfortable, why would you just say it's hot?
That sounds boring now.
Because it is. You're hiding the real message.
And the real message is how I feel.
Exactly. Let's try another one. Imagine it's very cold.
Okay.
Don't say it's cold. Say something real.
Maybe. I'm freezing.
Good. Now make it stronger.
I'm freezing. I can't feel my hands.
Perfect. That's how people actually speak.
This makes conversation more interesting.
And more natural. That's the key. You're not trying to sound perfect. You're trying to sound real.
I think I understand now.
Let's go deeper. Imagine it's raining all day.
I would say it's raining.
Basic again. Try this. It's been raining all day. I'm so tired of it.
That sounds like something I would actually say in real life.
Exactly. Because you added your feeling.
So every time I talk about weather, I should ask myself, how do I feel?
That's the secret. Ask yourself that one question, and your English will instantly improve.
This is powerful.
And simple. No grammar rules, no complicated structure, just real emotion.
I think this is where most learners fail.
Yes. They focus too much on correctness and forget about connection.
But connection is what makes you fluent.
Exactly. When people feel your words, they don't care if your grammar is perfect.
They just understand you better.
And they enjoy talking to you more.
So from now on, I won't just say it's hot.
Good.
I'll say how it feels, what it's doing to me.
That's how you move from basic English to natural English.
This already feels like a big change.
And we are just getting started. Sara, let me ask you something. When it rains heavily, what do you usually say?
I say, it's raining a lot.
That's clear, but it doesn't sound natural.
Really? It sounds okay to me.
It's understandable, yes, but fluent speakers don't say it like that.
Then what do they say?
They say, it's pouring.
Pouring, that's shorter.
Shorter and stronger. That's the key. Natural English is not about long sentences. It's about the right expressions.
So I don't need to make long explanations.
No. In fact, the more fluent you become, the simpler your sentences get, but the more natural they sound.
That's interesting.
Let me give you more examples. Instead of saying, there are clouds, say it's cloudy.
That's much smoother.
Instead of there is a lot of wind, say it's windy.
That sounds like real English.
Exactly. Native speakers use these short, natural expressions every day.
What about when the weather feels a bit sad or dark?
Good question. You can say it's gloomy.
Gloomy, that sounds emotional.
It is. That's why it works. Weather words often carry feeling, not just description.
So I should learn these expressions instead of making my own sentences.
Yes, because when you try to translate from your language, you end up with unnatural English.
Like it's raining a lot.
Exactly. It's not wrong, but it's not how people actually speak.
I think I've been translating everything in my head.
That's what most learners do, and it slows you down.
So learning ready-made expressions will help me speak faster.
Much faster. Because you're not building sentences from zero, you're using what already exists.
That makes sense.
Let's try a few more. Imagine the air feels sticky and uncomfortable.
I would say, it's very hot and uncomfortable.
Better expression, it's humid.
Just one word.
Yes. One word that says everything.
That's powerful.
Now imagine the sky is clear and beautiful.
The sky is clear.
You can say, it's a beautiful day.
That sounds more natural.
Exactly. Natural English is about flow. Smooth, simple, expressive.
I'm starting to see the pattern.
Good. Because once you learn these expressions, your English changes instantly.
And I don't have to think too much.
That's the goal. Less thinking, more speaking.
So instead of translating, I should collect these expressions.
Yes. Build your own library of natural phrases.
And use them every day.
Exactly. Because fluency is not about knowing everything. It's about using the right things at the right time.
This feels like a shortcut.
It is. And most people ignore it.
Not anymore.
Good. Because this is how you start sounding like a real English speaker. Sara, let me ask you something important. Why do you think people talk about the weather so much?
Honestly, I always thought it was just small talk. Something people say when they have nothing important to say.
That's exactly what most people think. And that's why they miss the real power of it.
Real power. In talking about weather.
Yes. Because weather is not just a topic, it's a doorway.
A doorway to what?
A doorway into conversation, into connection, into confidence.
I don't understand.
Let me explain. Imagine you meet someone new. Maybe at work, maybe outside, maybe anywhere. You feel nervous. You don't know what to say.
That happens to me all the time.
And in that moment, your mind goes blank.
Exactly. I want to speak, but nothing comes.
That's because you're trying to find the perfect sentence.
Yes. I'm always thinking, what should I say?
And that pressure stops you. It freezes you.
So what should I do instead?
You start simple. You start with something that requires no thinking. Something that is always there.
The weather.
Exactly. The weather is always there. You don't need to invent a topic. You don't need to be creative. You just need to observe.
That makes it easier.
Not just easier, it makes it natural. Because this is how real conversations begin.
But how do I actually say it?
Let's build it step by step. Imagine you walk into a room and you say, "Nice weather today."
That sounds simple.
It is. And that's the beauty of it. Simple, but effective.
But isn't that too basic?
No. Because the goal is not to impress, the goal is to start.
Start the conversation.
Exactly. Once the conversation starts, everything becomes easier.
Okay, but what if I want to sound more natural?
Then you can say, "Crazy weather today, right?"
That sounds more friendly.
Yes. It invites the other person to respond.
So it's not just a statement, it's a connection.
Exactly. You're not just talking, you're opening a door for the other person to join.
I like that.
Or you can say, "I didn't expect it to be this hot today."
That sounds like real conversation.
Because it is. You're sharing a thought, not just information.
So I don't need complicated topics to start talking.
No. In fact, complicated topics make it harder.
Because I start thinking too much.
Exactly. But weather removes that pressure. It gives you something easy, safe, and universal.
Universal.
Yes. Everyone experiences weather. Everyone understands it. No matter where you are, it works.
That's true.
Now let me show you something deeper. The real power of weather is not in the words. It's in what comes after.
What do you mean?
When you say, "It's really hot today," the other person might say, "Yes, it's unbearable."
And then the conversation continues.
Exactly. Now you can respond again. "I know, I can't even go outside."
And now we are talking naturally.
Yes. No pressure. No fear. Just flow.
So weather is like a starting engine.
Perfect. It starts the engine of conversation.
And once the engine starts, everything moves.
Exactly. But most learners never start the engine.
Because they are waiting for something better to say.
Yes. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect sentence, the perfect topic.
And that moment never comes.
Exactly. So they stay silent.
That's me.
Not anymore. From today, you have a simple rule.
What rule?
If you don't know what to say, talk about the weather.
That's simple.
That's simple, but powerful.
I think I've been overcomplicating everything.
Most people do. They think fluency is about big words, big ideas, big conversations.
But it starts small.
Always. Small, simple, real.
Let me try something.
Go ahead.
Wow, it's really hot today.
Good. Now make it more natural.
Wow, it's really hot today. I wasn't ready for this.
Perfect. Now it sounds alive.
I can feel the difference.
Because now you're not just speaking, you're sharing.
This actually makes me want to talk more.
That's the point. When speaking feels easy, you do it more.
And when you do it more, you improve faster.
Exactly. Practice becomes natural.
I think I understand something important now.
What is it?
Fluency is not about knowing everything, it's about starting something.
That's powerful.
And weather helps you start.
Yes. Every single day.
So even if I feel nervous,
Start with the weather.
even if I don't know the person,
Start with the weather.
even if I feel my English is weak,
Start with the weather.
this feels like a cheat code.
It is. A simple one. But most people ignore it.
Not me.
Good. Because this one habit can change everything.
From silence to conversation.
From fear to confidence.
From basic English to real English.
Exactly.
I'm going to use this today.
That's how it starts.
Just one sentence.
Just one sentence.
And then another.
And then another.
Until speaking becomes natural.
And that's how you become fluent.
I didn't expect weather to be this powerful.
Most people don't. But now you know.
And now I'll use it.
That's the difference between learning and growing. Sara, let me ask you something very honestly. When someone talks to you in English, do you respond quickly or do you pause and think?
I pause. A lot. Sometimes too much.
And in that pause, what's happening in your mind?
I'm trying to find the right words. I'm translating. I'm thinking about grammar. I'm trying not to make mistakes.
And by the time you're ready to speak,
The moment is gone.
exactly, the conversation moves on, and you feel left behind.
Yes. That's exactly how it feels.
That's not because your English is weak,
Then why does it happen?
because you don't know how to react naturally.
React naturally.
Yes, real conversations don't move because of perfect sentences. They move because of reactions.
I think I understand, but explain more.
Imagine this. I say to you, "It's freezing today."
I would say, yes.
And that's where the conversation dies.
Dies?
Completely. One-word answers kill conversation.
So yes is not enough.
Never enough. It stops the flow. It gives the other person nothing to continue.
Then what should I say?
You react. You show agreement, surprise, feeling. You give energy back.
Give me an example.
I say, it's freezing today.
Okay.
You say, I know, right? I can't even feel my hands.
That sounds so natural.
Because it is. You didn't just agree, you added something.
I added my experience.
Exactly. And that keeps the conversation alive.
So reacting means adding something more.
Yes. Always add something. Even small.
What if I don't know what to add?
Then you use simple reaction patterns.
Patterns?
Yes. Listen carefully. These are powerful.
I'm listening.
I know, right? That's true. Exactly. Seriously. No way. Same here.
These are short.
Short, but alive. They show emotion. They show you are present in the conversation.
I think I never used these.
That's why your conversations feel slow. You're trying to build perfect sentences instead of reacting like a human.
That's true.
Let's try another example. I say, it's so hot today.
I would say, yes, it's hot.
Again, dead response.
So what should I say?
Say, seriously, this heat is too much.
That feels stronger.
Or, I know, I feel exhausted already.
That sounds like real life.
Because real conversation is about sharing your state, your feeling, your reaction.
So even simple sentences can be powerful.
Very powerful. If you react correctly.
I think I'm starting to see the difference.
Let's go deeper. Imagine someone says, it's raining again.
I might say, yes, it is raining.
That's just repeating information.
So I should avoid repeating.
Exactly. Don't repeat. Respond.
What's the difference?
Repeating is copying. Responding is adding.
Give me an example.
Instead of yes, it is raining, say, I know, it's been raining all week.
That sounds much better.
Or I didn't expect it to rain today.
That feels natural.
Because now you're part of the conversation, not just an echo.
An echo.
Yes. When you repeat, you sound like an echo.
No personality.
No feeling.
I don't want that.
Then always react with something new.
Okay, but what if I feel nervous?
Then keep it simple. Even one extra line is enough.
Like what?
Yeah, it's really hot today. I hate this weather.
That's easy.
Or it's so cold. I didn't bring a jacket.
That's something I can say in real life.
Exactly. Because fluency is not about perfect English. It's about real reactions.
I think I was focusing on the wrong thing.
Most learners do. They think speaking is about long sentences.
But it's actually about connection.
Yes. And connection happens through reaction.
So if I react well, conversation continues.
Always. Because you're giving the other person something to respond to.
It becomes like a flow.
Exactly. Like a game of passing the ball.
And if I just say yes, the game stops.
Perfect analogy. The ball drops.
I don't want to drop the ball anymore.
Then react. Every time.
Every time.
Every time. Even if it's small.
Let me try again.
Go ahead. It's really windy today.
Yeah, seriously, it almost blew my hat away.
Perfect.
That felt natural.
Because you didn't think too much. You just reacted.
This is actually fun.
That's the secret. When speaking becomes fun, you stop being afraid.
And when I'm not afraid, I speak more.
And when you speak more, you improve faster.
Everything connects.
Exactly. Reaction leads to flow. Flow leads to confidence. Confidence leads to fluency.
I wish I knew this earlier.
Now you do.
So from today, no more one-word answers.
No more dead responses.
Only real reactions.
That's how conversations stay alive.
And that's how I become fluent.
Exactly. Sara, let me ask you something important. When you're in a conversation, what scares you the most?
The silence.
Silence.
Yes. That moment when the other person stops talking, and I don't know what to say next.
And what happens in that moment?
I panic. My mind goes blank. I feel pressure to say something, but nothing comes.
And then?
Then the conversation dies.
Exactly. Not because your English is weak, but because you don't know how to keep it moving.
So how do I fix that?
With one simple skill: asking questions.
Questions.
Yes. Questions are the engine that keeps conversations alive.
But I thought answering well was more important.
That's what most learners think. But answering ends the moment. Questions extend it.
I never saw it like that.
Let me show you. Imagine I say, "It's really hot today."
Okay.
You respond, "Yeah, it's really hot."
That's what I would say.
And then, silence.
Yes.
Now watch this. I say, "It's really hot today."
Okay.
You say, "Yeah, it's really hot. Do you like this kind of weather?"
Oh, that changes everything.
Exactly. Now I have something to respond to.
So instead of ending the conversation, I am pushing it forward.
That's the power of questions.
This feels like control.
It is. When you ask questions, you control the direction of the conversation.
That sounds powerful.
Very powerful. Because now you're not waiting for the other person to speak. You're leading.
I like that.
Let's go deeper. Imagine someone says, "It's raining a lot these days."
Okay.
You say, "Yeah, it's been raining. Is it always like this here?"
That sounds natural.
And now the other person will explain, share, talk more.
So questions make the other person speak more.
Exactly. And that removes pressure from you.
That's perfect. Because sometimes I don't know what to say next.
Then don't say more, ask more.
That's simple.
Simple. But most people don't use it.
Why not?
Because they think speaking English means talking a lot.
But it's actually about keeping the conversation going.
Exactly. And questions do that better than long speeches.
Can you give me more examples?
Of course. Imagine it's very cold.
Okay.
You say, "It's freezing today. How do you deal with this weather?"
That sounds interesting.
Or do you prefer cold weather or hot weather?
That's easy to ask.
And it opens a full conversation.
Because now they can share their opinion.
Exactly. And once they start sharing, you can react again.
And then ask another question.
Now you're getting it.
So it becomes a cycle.
Yes. Speak, react, ask, repeat.
That feels like a system.
It is a system. And once you understand it, you never get stuck again.
I like that.
Let's go deeper. Imagine you're talking to someone new.
Okay.
You feel nervous. You don't know what to say.
That's always me.
You start simple. "Nice weather today."
Okay.
Then immediately ask, "Do you like this kind of weather?"
That feels smooth.
And now the conversation is alive.
Without stress.
Without pressure.
Without overthinking.
Exactly. Because you're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to be curious.
Curious?
Yes. Questions show curiosity. And people love talking to curious people.
That makes sense.
When you ask questions, you make the other person feel important.
And that makes them more engaged.
Exactly. And when they're engaged, the conversation becomes easier for you.
This is like a hidden trick.
It is. And most learners ignore it.
Not anymore.
Good. Now let's practice.
Okay.
I say, it's really windy today.
Yeah, it's really windy. Do you enjoy this kind of weather?
Good. Now add one more question.
Or do you prefer calm weather?
Perfect. Now the conversation can go in many directions.
I can feel the difference.
Because now you're not stuck, you're flowing.
This removes fear.
Completely. Because you always have something to say.
Even if I don't know what to say, I can ask something.
Exactly. Questions are your safety net.
Safety net.
Yes. Whenever you feel lost, you fall back on questions.
That's powerful.
And the best part, questions are easy to learn.
That's true.
You don't need complex grammar, just simple patterns.
Like do you like, or do you prefer?
Exactly. Or how do you? Or is it always?
These are easy to remember.
And extremely useful.
I feel more confident already.
That's the goal. Confidence doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from having a strategy.
And questions are my strategy.
Yes. Your secret weapon.
So from now on, I won't fear silence.
Because you know what to do.
I'll ask a question.
And keep the conversation alive.
This changes everything.
It does. Because once you control the flow, you control your confidence.
And once I have confidence, I can speak freely.
Exactly.
I wish I learned this earlier.
Now you have it. Use it.
I will.
And that's how you move from stopping conversations to leading them. Sara, let me ask you one last question. Why do you think most people never become fluent in English?
Maybe they don't practice enough.
That's part of it. But the real reason is deeper.
What is it?
They wait.
Wait for what?
They wait for the perfect time, the perfect situation, the perfect confidence.
That's true. Even I feel like that sometimes.
And while they're waiting, nothing happens.
So fluency never comes.
Exactly. Because fluency is not something you wait for, it's something you build.
Build, how?
Daily. In small moments. In real life.
Real life.
Yes. Not just in books. Not just in videos. But in your everyday environment.
But I don't always have people to talk to.
You don't need people to start.
Then what do I need?
Awareness. And action.
Explain that.
Look around you. Right now, there is always something happening.
Like the weather.
Exactly. The weather is always there. It changes every day. Sometimes every hour.
So I can use it every day.
Not just use it. Practice with it.
How?
Step outside. Look at the sky. Feel the air. And speak.
Speak, even if I'm alone.
Especially when you're alone. Because that's where confidence is built.
What should I say?
Say what you see. Say what you feel. Say what you notice.
Give me an example.
It looks cloudy today. Feels a bit cooler than yesterday. I think it might rain later.
That feels simple.
It is simple. But that's the secret. Fluency doesn't come from complicated sentences. It comes from consistent speaking.
So even small sentences matter.
They matter the most. Because you repeat them daily.
And repetition builds confidence.
Exactly. Let me ask you something. If you say one sentence in English every day, what happens after 30 days?
I'll feel more comfortable.
And after 60 days?
I'll start speaking without thinking too much.
And after 90 days?
It will feel natural.
That's how fluency is built. Not in one day, but in daily moments.
I think I understand now.
Most learners chase big progress, but ignore small habits.
And small habits create big results.
Always. Now let me show you something powerful.
I'm listening.
Imagine two people learning English.
Okay.
One person studies grammar for hours, but never speaks.
That sounds like many learners.
The other person speaks just a few sentences every day, about simple things like weather.
That sounds easier.
After a few months, who do you think will speak better?
The one who practiced speaking.
Exactly, because speaking is a skill, and skills grow with use.
Not with thinking.
Not with waiting, only with action.
This is a big realization.
And here's the truth most people don't want to hear.
What truth?
You don't need more knowledge. You need more practice.
That hits hard.
Because it's real. You already know enough words to speak.
But I don't use them.
That's the problem. Knowledge without action is useless.
So I need to act every day.
Yes. Even if it's small. Even if it feels uncomfortable.
What if I make mistakes?
You will. And that's how you improve.
So mistakes are not a problem.
They are proof that you're growing.
That changes how I see it.
Good. Because fear of mistakes stops more people than lack of knowledge.
That's true for me.
Then break that fear. Start speaking, even if it's not perfect.
I will try.
Don't try. Do it.
Okay. I will do it.
Start today. Right after this.
What should I do first?
Look outside and say one sentence about the weather.
Just one.
Just one. But say it with awareness.
Like, it's really hot today.
Good. Now improve it.
It's really hot today. I can feel the heat even inside.
Perfect. That's real English.
That felt natural.
Because you connected with what you're feeling.
I think this is the missing piece.
It is. Daily, real-life practice.
Not waiting, not overthinking.
Just speaking.
Every day.
Every single day.
Even for 1 minute.
Even for one sentence.
And over time, it builds.
Slowly, but powerfully.
I feel more confident now.
That's what happens when you stop waiting and start doing.
So fluency is not far away.
It's not far at all. It's in your daily actions.
This feels motivating.
Good. Because motivation starts action, but action creates results.
I'm ready.
Then start.
Today.
Right now.
One sentence at a time.
And one day, you won't even think about it.
I'll just speak.
And that's when you know you've become fluent. So Sara, after all this, let me ask you one thing.
What?
Do you still want to say, it's hot?
No, not anymore.
Good. Because now you understand something most learners never realize.
That fluency doesn't come from big words.
It comes from small changes.
From how you describe simple things.
From how you react.
From how you ask.
And most importantly, from how you practice every single day.
I feel like English is not difficult anymore.
Because it was never difficult.
I was just using it the wrong way.
Exactly.
And now, it feels natural.
That's the goal. Not perfect English, but real English.
So from today,
No more basic sentences.
no more silence in conversations.
No more fear when someone talks to you.
Only simple, real, confident English.
And remember this.
You don't need to wait to become fluent.
You start speaking, and fluency follows.
One sentence.
One moment.
One conversation at a time.
And one day.
You'll realize.
You're not learning English anymore.
You're living it.
So start today.
Not tomorrow.
Right now.
And don't forget.
The next time someone asks about the weather,
Don't say it's hot.
say it like a real speaker.
And let your English speak for you.